Today's so chaotic. Today's so chaotic. Okay. Hey, Hungry. What's up? What's up? What's up? It's good to be back. Yeah, I've been taking... I've been taking some time off. If you guys haven't noticed. Shabriri stream. Yeah. If y'all haven't noticed, I've been taking some time off. I think I just needed a mental break. You scared me. Did the same sounds than the spirit that I killed? Oh no. I'm in your game, it's me. I am going to... Oh, wait. Sorry, there's too much happening today. Thank you, I'm so glad. I deserved, yeah, I definitely deserved a little bit of a break. For sure. I feel like today is the most incomprehensible. It's gonna be the most incomprehensible stream that y'all have ever seen because it's been a hot minute since we've been live. I streamed the entire game. We were like streaming for 10 hours a day for almost an entire week. And I feel like it actually kind of broke my brain a little bit. I do feel a little scatterbrained. I do feel like just a little out of whack. And then on top of that, I had like a really lovely conversation this morning. And I wanted to give a little shout out to Timeless Toucan Games, which is like a small indie studio that is run by one person. And he like took the time to just kind of like give me some advice because Waves and I have been talking about kicking off a project for like a hot minute, but also they're working on something too that seems super cool. It's like a co-op roguelike card game. And you have to like mute your mic to be able to play it with other people. I'm gonna cover it on another stream. And I might even try to convince him to come on to talk about his project. But I want to get more in the habit of shouting out indie games. I also want to stream Nine Souls, which is like a small 2D Sekiro-like that just recently came out. So we're gonna be doing that this weekend. I want to just like, I don't know, I am definitely taking a page out of Donkey's book where I want to make an effort to shout out more indie games and smaller projects. I know that like, you know, obviously with the DLC coming out, we're gonna be, or with the DLC having come out, we're gonna be talking about lore and we're gonna be, you know, doing all of that stuff, which is gonna be really fun. Also, don't look at the background of my apartment. There's just a lot. There's a lot that's been going on. What is this music? We're in the Fountain of Life right now. Did you play Animal Well? It was so good. Yes, yes, I loved Animal Well. It was great. But yeah, so yeah, no, the last month doesn't matter. The DLC never dropped. Yeah, so like with this, your episode 7 thumbnail shows you fighting Radahn. Oh no, I'll try to fix that, Skulls. I thought that I like got all of the thumbnails in. Apologies. Let me double check that really quick so that way I don't accidentally spoil somebody. And then I'm also pulling up my Miro board and getting everything ready because we have a lot to talk about. And we also have a lot of submissions too. But let me... Noodle Shrimp, thank you so much for organizing everything for me because it's been chaotic as usual. Just in time, hey Quailog, I can't wait to hear your word vomit. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, spoilers going ahead. Everybody in chat. Yeah. What is this song? This is from Shin Megami Tensei. It's the healing fountain. We're having a day. We're having a day. Not streaming for like a week has like fully has fully fried my brain, I fear. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. You guys don't understand. Like I laid. No, that's not true. That is totally not true. I just lied to you. I did film a video, and then Waves has been editing it, and I spent the past like week getting B-roll for the video and just doing like a bunch of stuff. I'm not even a lore streamer, and I feel snowed under by the DLC. I feel like this is intensive. This is what my notes look like. This is what happens. Okay. So LMAO, I laid in bed. Oh, no, I recorded a video. Yeah. My brain is the Elden Ring. It gets a bit smaller each time. So we have a lot to cover. I also want to make it clear too that there's a lot that's missing from the DLC. There's a lot that's missing. I'm trying to skip ahead by zooming into the Bird Warrior text. Okay, so for those of you that don't know what these are, this is just item descriptions. This isn't my personal notes, so don't worry. You can't cheat, Gene. You can't cheat. But my first video that I'm covering is gonna just be on the nature of the Lands Between and the Shadow Realm, because I'm pretty sure that I have it figured out now. It's not that complicated, actually. I do just think that it's like a separate plane of existence. It's a separate reality. We get it. We understand this. We know this. But I do think that all of the mythology surrounding death, sans the Deathrite birds and the Gloam-eyed queen, does come from this second plane, and I think that it serves as like the Valhalla or the underworld, for lack of a better term, at this point in the game. But like, it wasn't originally intended to be the underworld. It just became that. But I'm going to talk about it. Also, thank you so much for the gifts, nice person. Thank you so much. I am going to talk about that in the video. I have like evidence. I have evidence. I have they were really clever. They hit a lot of death mythology from other cultures in the Shadow Realm specifically, which is weird. Was it always another plane of existence? No, it wasn't. It very clearly wasn't, because the suppressing pillar talks about how it was the center of the Lands Between, and then given the divine pillar placement and the baldachin that is floating around, there's a lot of other stuff. Wait, hold on. I might have not seen it yet, but I was actually intrigued if you think that there's a connection between the ancestral shaman followers. So the ancestral followers in the ruins in the shaman village and the Horn Scent. I do think that there is a connection, but I don't think it's like... I don't think that it is that they're descendants or like culturally related at all, but I think that they both are observing the same thing. They're both observing the growth of horns, and so that connects them. And I think that given like Marika's age, a lot of the labels that she's put on things have kind of obfuscated our ability to like understand what is happening, because there's all these like to call people who grow horns omen, that recategorizes what they actually are in our minds, which like when we go to the Shadow Realm, we find out that people that grow horns are like a totally different concept. It's not like this curse or this omen. Thank you guys so much for all the subscriptions and the gifts. What the heck is going on? Thank you. Thank you. But okay, so architecture with Ra. So something that I've noticed. Oh my god. Okay. Hype train. Thank you guys. Okay, so we obviously know. Hold on. Let me see if I still have my notes in here regarding. Sorry, this is like vomit. Where's my ancestral follower notes? Okay. We know that the Palace of Ul. So the Palace of Ul and Ra are two separate, like, structures, right? The Palace of Ul, I would say, is about like 2000 BC. I would say the Ra ruins, there's a lot of Pakistani art that's being represented. I talked to somebody who I cannot talk about, who may have data mined some stuff that is referencing a certain area. But the area that is being referenced, and I definitely see it in particular with the golems. The golems and the black ruins of Ra are interconnected, and the silhouettes of the golems have a lot to do with Pakistani art from like 3000 BC. So if we're looking at, you know, Mesopotamia and the Black Obelisk and Jordan and all of the different like buildings that are being represented. Holy shit, you guys. Shit. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. Like Indus Valley, yes. Wolverine. 100%, you nailed it. Is this DLC lore? Yes, this is DLC lore. So people are hyped. They can scream. So okay, so we have Pakistan, we have we have Jerusalem, we have. The real question is, how does Elden John fit into this? I got you. Farah Missoula. So this is. I also want to give a shout out and credit to Tarnished Archaeologists who clocked this. So Tarnished Archaeologists clocked the necropolis of Varna, which is what Farah Missoula is based off of. So we have, and then also Tarnished. So I clocked the obelisk, but Tarnished Archaeologist was the one who clocked the. Hold on, sorry, this music's very intense. Tarnished Archaeologist was the one who clocked the map of Babylon. So we have all these different historical references that range anywhere from about 3000 BC to about 500 BC, roughly. So we have, it's a little hard to hear you over the music. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I like turned it down a little bit. Is that any better, y'all? Is that any better? Jesus Christ. I love you guys. I love you guys, but thank you. It's good now. Okay, cool. So we have like a bunch of cultures that are pretty ancient and that are just developing written language. Some of them predate written language. Some of them are early metalworking. A lot of them use ceramics. But yeah, the important point that the Ul Palace and Farah Missoula establish is that there was civilizations before Marika, and that those civilizations, they kind of serve to establish that there's like been multi-generations of like lords and gods before her, which I feel like is very important given like Godfrey's title of Elden Lord. There's been some kind of like history revision happening. And we learned that with Placidus Axe, that like Placidus Axe was a lord even before Godfrey, even before Marika's rule. So we're kind of seeing this transition of power happening. I think that this is like a brilliant way to visually design your setting, is to use fragments from ancient cultures to be able to establish this like timeless or ancient feeling. I think it's like incredibly useful. Obviously, so there is some predictions that like, I want to backtrack, obviously. I think a lot of us got a lot of stuff wrong. One, Godwin never shows up in the DLC. We see his cadavers everywhere, his cadaver surrogates, and we'll talk about those later. But my speculation for the DLC was that it was going to be Miquella trying to revive Godwin. I got the wrong brother, y'all. I got the wrong brother, so I'm backtracking that. But I think it's really important that they used the Roman architecture in Belurot to establish that, like, the people within Belurot aren't Mesopotamian. I mean, but who expected Radahn? I know, right? Nobody did. None of us did. But I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. Because I think it does make lore sense. I think that maybe this idea that Godwin could not be chosen because of his circumstances makes total sense. I don't know. I think the initial intent was Godwin and the FromSoft team pivoted. There are items that call out Godwin. Yeah, like I kind of wonder. So that there's items in dialogue that seem to point at Godwin pretty heavily. And there's a lot of this, like, when we talk about kindness, because Miquella pursued Radahn given his kindness, I think that, like, it's very clear that Godwin also chose the route of assimilation in order to, like, take in the dragons into the culture. Like, Godwin didn't take the path of genocide. Godwin decided to, like, do a little like interesting, I don't know. Okay, wait. Rat made a good point about how it's the way they explain it and set up within the DLC that drops the ball, not the reveal itself. Yeah, I don't know. I think that the Ansbach dialogue and the reveal to me felt like I really liked it. I liked the Ansbach dialogue and, like, the ramping up to his reveal, but I think he fucked those dragons. but I do think that the layup for Godwin was so strong, and they could have done some, like, really cool imagery with Godwin, I think, too. But at the same time, I'm also not, you know. If it would have been Godwin instead of Radahn, it had been a fake version of him because Miquella didn't have any of his humanity left to understand why that'd be messed up. Yeah. Ansbach tells you about Moog's body, and Freya tells you about Miquella reviving Radahn's soul. It makes sense if you talk to enough NPCs. Yeah, like, I think the layup... I think the layup for it was, like... Could they have hinted at it more? I don't know, because when we actually take a step back and think about it, they had been hinting at it. Yeah. Oh no, it's okay. I can turn the music down, like, a little bit more. Is that better audio wise? Hold on, let me also get the chat in the... Let me get the chat visible for y'all, so that way you guys can see what I'm responding to. I think Miquella fails in reviving Godwin. That leads to this outcome. The point in the base game that they failed to make the eclipse happen. You know what? I'm with you on that, Clay. Yeah, I know the music sounds fine to a lot of folks, but I just want to be mindful. Somebody was saying that their ADHD is struggling, which I totally understand, because I also feel that way. Okay, so Guillermo del Toro says they did the day from the start that the lore was already there, but they still pivoted because there was a focus on the Gloam-eyed Queen and Godwin. Okay, so first off, for the Gloam-eyed Queen situation, I've said this in the past and I'll say it again. The Gloam-eyed Queen is Velka. I said this before the DLC came out. Gloam-eyed Queen is Velka. And I was also kind of, like, anticipating that we weren't going to get lore about her. because the Gloam-eyed queen is Velka. And if you don't understand what that means, there's like a character called Velka, and she is kind of like the antithesis of Gwyn. She's seen as like the opposite of him, and she is embodied by like crows. And I think that like, well, okay, wait, hold up. So somebody in the chat says, sure, but the Putrescent Knight was internally called the Gloam-eyed Queen Knight. I have thoughts about that. So I do think that the Putrescent Knight had to do with Destined Death and with the Gloam-eyed Queen, but I think it's like, what is like the remnants of death without her, if that makes sense. Like, pretty much Queen Marika like fucked up the fabric of reality and she sealed away death, right? She established these two different worlds, and then she proceeds to like dump death and like other concepts that she doesn't want to deal with into this other realm, right? And so I think that the implication in regard to the Gloam-eyed Queen Knight is rather like an aspect of death, or an aspect that should have been managed by the Gloam-eyed Queen that is now not managed by anybody. And it's all this putrescent dead flesh that should have been burned away, or that should have been, you know, like dealt with, that didn't get dealt with. And so it's just like, he's what happens if you don't have the Gloam-eyed Queen, the Putrescent Knight. And it just so happens that Saint Trina was down there, so it like works out. Okay. The night feels like it represents Trina almost becoming the second form of death with the endless sleep and such. Trina functions as its new purpose. But I almost feel like, yes. Okay, wait. Olenaya, sorry if I mispronounced your name. I agree with that, but I think it's like because of the environment. So like Saint Trina was left down in this pit, and she's like absorbing all of the putrescent black syrup into herself. And so we're seeing like a different version of Saint Trina in the DLC than I think how she normally is, because her normal items and like sleep is kind of like this soft pale lavender. But then in the DLC, when we learn about Tolier's like endless sleep potion and we learn about Tolier's like, do you know what I mean? Like we get Saint Trina's items and they're like a deeper purple, and they're associated with endless sleep. Yeah, she looks normal in the story trailer. I know, right? Yeah, it's like there's this transition between Saint Trina as we know her regarding sleep, and then Saint Trina as she's like absorbing putrescent flesh, because it's just, yeah, the area is literally called deep purple. Yes, I think that like death has been sealed away and the environment has changed. There's a description about her light sleep turns into a deep viscous slumber due to being left behind. Yes. Yes. What's Tolier's concoction for? It's for the Dragon Priestess. There's like a whole subplot that you can do, which I didn't do on this character. Sorry, I have a really delicious pastry and I'm gonna be eating that. But yeah, oh wait, if the Gloam-eyed Queen is Velka, does that mean we can understand the lands of shadow or to the lands between as the painted world is Telordran? Not quite. So I think when I say that the Gloam-eyed Queen is Velka, I think it's, you know how I was saying that Miyazaki iterates on certain characters or tropes or concepts within his world, like he'll repurpose, you know, like for example, Queen Marika is a god who is associated with like light and gold, who doesn't want her age to come to an end. She wants her age to be eternal. That is Gwyn. They govern different concepts, and some of the nuances between their characters are different, but their function is the same. And I would say that like Big Hat Logan, or any scholar that has like a large hat and can cast incantations and is like in pursuit of knowledge, like I would say Selene is like our equivalent of Big Hat Logan in this game. Selene's trying to pursue something that ultimately leads to not really like her demise, but almost like her hollowing in a way. Bad haircut religious boys. Yes. Oh my God. The bad haircut religious boys for sure. Not Rajier. Rajier is in the same boat. But I would definitely say that, like, there is a theme of, like, arcane scholars who are in pursuit of knowledge who ultimately get fucked. And, like, they all have big heads. They're all big-headed, you know? Somebody said, very sorry to ask this again, but do you think Radahn might have been a good candidate since he was stopping the stars and therefore the eclipse? Potentially, yeah. But it kind of seemed like, based off of some of the item descriptions, that Miquella made this vow to Radahn when he was very young. Rajier is still alive in mid-game, just don't talk to him. So the moral of the story is don't encourage your nerdy friends. Okay, so let's get into some of the lore theory submissions. I also need to do a window capture really quick on the chat so that way y'all can see each other, because this can be like a little chaotic, a little erratic, and I just want to make sure that y'all kind of see, because I'm going to be responding to both Twitch chat and YouTube chat, and unfortunately when I do that, it gets really confusing. Obviously, makes sense, because y'all can't see each other. Bravo, Miyazaki, don't talk to nerds. We're so back, yeah. YouTube chat is the Shadow Realm. YouTube. All right, so hello YouTube, it is I. Okay. Let me open up Discord really quick. Sorry, you guys are gonna see some weird overlap because this is simply the nature of having to do display capture. Shrimp sent me all of the lore submissions, so I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna do Twitter, and then we're gonna try to respond to as many people in the chat as possible. It is Shrimp. It is Shrimp. Okay, so the first one is from Lemur King. And wow, this is long. I might actually increase my my display capture because this is actually huge and they are amazing and awesome and provided images. So apologies for how this looks. This is going to be a nightmare because I'm running off of one monitor today. Can you all see okay? Can you all read okay? Okay, so Lemur King sent this one in that says, I think it's pretty widely known that Elden Ring has a lot of influence from Norse mythology, but I feel like a lot of specific connections might have been underexplored. I want to write more about all of that and different connections eventually, but for now I want to talk about something that I realize might be more relevant to the DLC than I thought. I've not seen anything from the preview thing, only the DLC information in here that Miquella has gone to the Shadow Realm and rides Torrent there. Also, to your point, Lemur King, already, my video is going to be about this. Not about Norse mythology in particular, but like about all the different ways, like the different myths about death. Also, let me change this so we're not getting some loud screaming in the background. I definitely am like I'm gonna be touching on some some mythology and like the mythology of death and all the different iterations of death that appear in the DLC, specifically because I think, like I said before, that the Shadow Realm is the realm that is acting as like the dumping ground for death in the DLC. So I think it has become like an artificial underworld, if this makes sense. And we see a lot of different references to that in we see it across Nordic mythology, we see it across Japanese mythology because we see the spider lilies, we see it across Greek mythology, and I try to touch on as many as I can in the video, but in particular, I think it's really cool that, like, talked about this on Twitter, that Helfin Steeple is kind of like the Valhalla of this realm, and I think it's really cool that the NPC's name Freya, we meet her in like a field, like a big open field with like ghost gravestones, and I think it is really neat because I think it's Folkvang is the realm of the dead that Freya governs, and then Odin governs Valhalla. So we're seeing like a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of that. Guillermo de Torres and Marika made it that way, locked away death with rune by pushing it into the Shadowlands. Yeah, so I have a video. I have like a lot of videos talking about the Great Rune of Death. But yeah, it was made that way by Marika. There's like quite literally a veil that is represented in like the skyblocks that I get into in the new video that's going to be coming out. But unfortunately, also apologies about this, but lore videos take time to make, and like I could just like scream all of my thoughts and theories at y'all, but I do think that I wanted to like let them cook and have Waves work on them. But yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time. Anyway, let's keep going. So first, a summary of the story of death of Balder in Norse myth. This will be based off of Jesse Bycock's translation. Balder, also known as Balder the Beautiful or Balder the Good, is one of the Aesir. He is the son of Odin. Balder is great and beloved by all the gods. The prose Edda says he's so beautiful and bright that light shines from him. He's the best, and all praise him. One day Balder had troubling dreams foretelling his own death. To prevent this coming to pass, his mother Frigg went to everything in the world and made them swear oaths not to harm Balder. Loki disguised himself as a random woman and found out from Frigg that she did not bother to ask a young sprig of mistletoe to swear an oath because she thought it was too young. Loki found the mistletoe and took it to where the Aesir were throwing random shit at Balder because they thought it was cool that he was invincible. Loki went to the god Hod, who is blind, and convinced him that he could help Hod aim, so he would join in on the fun. I think, did we read this one? When was this submitted? This was last month. Yeah, this was submitted before. We have covered this before. It is cool to re-explore this one, because I feel like I am still on this. I'm still on this. I'm still on this, by the way. I think Shrimp may have made a mistake resubmitting this, but this is still the truest take on the story. I also think too, because we talked about this like a couple weeks ago too, but Radagon's children being really similar to Loki's children by nature, I think also lends credence to like connecting Norse mythology with the Elden Ring story. I do think that the nature of a lot of the demigod children correlate to the story of Loki and Godwin's death and all that other stuff. So yeah, that being said, I'm gonna move on to the next one because we've already touched on this one. Hold on one sec. Oh, yeah, I only submitted the ones that came after your last lore stream. I think that... Oh, hold on. But the Lemur King one was definitely one that we covered last week. Or not last week, but like 2 weeks ago. Whenever the last Lore Theory Thursday, Godwin does seem closest to Balder and Roll, 100%. Yeah, Marika is a shapeshifter. Radagon is also a shapeshifter. We also get Radagon's children, who Rykard is like a big snake, and Loki gives birth to snakes, and wolves, and a half-dead girl. All right, let me see. Should I work backwards, maybe? Do you want to filter it to post DLC? Yeah, that would be great. Half-dead girl is Melina? No, we're talking about Radagon and Renala's kids specifically. So, Ronnie, she kills half of her... She kills her soul, but keeps... Or sorry, she kills her body, but keeps her soul alive. But yeah, let me grab something really quick. Hold on. Hold on one sec. No. It's not wrong to tweet lore ideas at all. So typically what I do is I make like a big tweet where everybody can submit their theories. But I prioritize my Discord folks because a lot of them are tied to like a Patreon. So we focus on that first, and then we go onto Twitter, and then we do a bunch of other stuff. But I need to go run to the bathroom really quick. So I'll be right back really fast while Shrimp organizes the submissions. Also, thank you, Shrimp. You're my hero. Thank you so much for helping. But give me one sec. All right, I'm back. All right, I'm gonna go back to the like fucky display capture. So apologies, this is a nightmare. So the next submission that we got was from, was it? Here we go. Wait. Sorry, Shrimp, I'm gonna put you on blast soon. Oh wait, no, naming conventions. I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna work my way down. So let's do it to it. And then for those of you that want to, submit your theories, go ahead and just like respond to me on Twitter. I will try to get to people in the chat, but it can be really, really chaotic given how many people are here. We currently have 800 people here. So just to keep it organized, just respond to me on Twitter and we'll do that. Put me on blast. Oh no. Shrimp, you're the best. Okay. Blasting shrimp. Hold on. Here. Thank you so much for the resubscription. Okay, back at it. So, remembrance of the Impaler. A malevolent snake writhed within Messmer, and so too his very mother plucked out his eye and put it in the place of the seal of grace. Yet, having done so, her fear compelled her to secret away her child within the realm of shadow, hidden away, keeping company with original sin, and a hatred that would not be confined. In my opinion, the above text tells us that Marika hid away Messmer because of the serpents within him. Marika was fearful that her followers would learn about the serpents within Marika's son. Further, Messmer now keeps company with that original sin in the land of shadow. There's no closer company to Messmer than the malevolent serpent that writhed within him since birth. I had assumed Marika's original sin was her purge of the horn scent. That can't be true, since the purge of the horn scent was carried out by Messmer at Marika's direction much later, when Messmer was older. So I think that Messmer's remembrance suggests that the purge of horn scent occurred after Marika committed her original sin, created the Erdtree, and split the lands from the lands of shadow, gave birth to Messmer, and hid him away. I agree with this. I agree with this take. Considering all of the religious symbolism involving Marika specifically, in Abrahamic traditions, the original sin of mankind is encouraged by a serpent and involves a misuse of the fruit of the divine tree. With that in mind, my theory is that Marika was a shaman villager who encountered her first two fingers in the nearby finger ruins. Marika was named an Imperian by those two fingers, see Malekith's remembrance. I think the two fingers brought Marika into contact with an ancient serpent who imparted forbidden knowledge that she then used to create the Erdtree. Messmer inherited this mother's original sin, just like the descendants of Adam and Eve in Abrahamic tradition, and that's why the serpents are so hated by the Erdtree faithful. I 100% agree with this, and I also think too that it's quite common for certain aspects or features to be carried on through lineage in the Elden Ring universe, not necessarily through strictly a curse, but sometimes it's through like association or through the environment. So like, for example, if you are an Albinoric and you are down in Mohg's little like blood palace and you start to absorb the cursed blood into your skin, it'll quite literally allow you to grow horns and change like your skin tone and change like what you're associated with. And we see this like all throughout the lands between, is we see like a ton of gods being influenced by their environment. And I think some of the influences in like the Crucible era that we see, the big ones are red hair and like all the aspects of the Crucible. So we see like horns and the Crucible knot, and we see wings and we see flowers, but we see red hair, and specifically a lot of Marika's children have red hair, and it says that it could be the curse of the giants, but we also see bears have red hair. We see the big serpent that Messmer unleashes has red hair. There's a huge kind of like theme of like an era that celebrated or worshipped or was associated with the aspects of the Crucible, and Marika trying to seal those things away, which I think it kind of like plays into what you're saying here regarding Marika's original sin, which is the forbidden knowledge that she used to create the Erdtree. And I think she did this by separating the Elden Ring. She like separated concepts and sealed away destined death. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot here that I agree with. You're so right. You're on the money. And I think too, like the shadow trees, when they grow in like a double helix. Oh yeah, sorry. For those of you who wanted to join the Discord, currently it is locked, but reach out to me over Twitter. If you're a regular and I recognize you, I'll definitely shoot you a link. But show up. If you just show up and are, not Psychotic in the chat. I'm totally down to like shoot an invite over, but we're a gated community right now because my moderators are currently not being paid because I don't make enough money to do that just yet. But I would like to someday. But yeah, they have to like moderate this community by themselves and it sucks. And yeah. That being said, the double helix of the shadow tree, I think, is supposed to represent the marriage of opposing forces. And it's pretty clear that the shadow tree is out of balance. One tree is growing very straight and the other one looks like it's like wrapping around it. And like strangling it almost, as opposed to like a normal double helix. I also think too that the tree looks like it has been burnt. More so than, because I've always been kind of 50-50 on like the Erd tree itself being burned in the past, but I do think that the shadow tree has been burned. Like when we go down into the shadow tree roots where the avatar is, a lot of the tree material is like black and brittle, and it kind of looks like wait, how can the helix signify opposing forces when it's the product of the crucible in which... So there's a difference between opposing forces that are separated and opposing forces that live in what's called chaotic order. So light, dark, life, death, heat, cold. These are all concepts that existed before Marika, but they lived in balance, or it kind of seems like they're in balance a little bit. But the fire giants and the Zamor always fought each other. Life and death always existed because of the Gloam-eyed queen. Death and death existed before Marika. There were a lot of concepts that existed before Marika, but they weren't separated and fragmented from each other until Marika separated them. So there's a difference between like concepts existing and like disparity existing, and disparity being severed and fragmented and organized, if that makes sense. I definitely think Marika's order is like is this like this concept of mortal, or like because she was like mortal, everybody was mortal, but it's this concept of life and death being taken into mortal hands. We get that in the Great Jar item description, which I feel like is a really... Yeah, so opposing forces as the two sides of a scale. Yes, and they're like interconnected. They're not fragmented from each other. But yeah, I think that, wait, in the two-finger version of the sign of the cross, those fingers represent the union of godhood and humanity. I also think too that like hold on, sorry, I'm like trying to keep up with chat. There's so much happening. In the spirit incantation suggests the crucible has a current that twists in a double helix shape. Maybe this is the product of disparity. Tornadoes twist because of hot and cold air that twist and chase each other. Yeah. Yes. How did I not realize that the shadow tree is a failed helix? Yeah, it was supposed to be a double helix like the other trees that we see around Bellerat. But there's something about the shadow tree that's different. One tree is growing in a completely straight line, as opposed to like that organic half of the double helix. And then the other one is growing as if it should normally grow, but it's having to wrap itself around like a kind of rigid, fucked up second tree. So why did it fail? Are you talking about like why did the double helix fail? The Haley tree was supposed to be a helix too. Yeah, 100%. Maybe it's a failed helix because it's been cut off and cast out of the Erd tree. I think the reason is more symbolic. Like I do think that like when we look at the trees, we're seeing kind of like a symbolic state of the metaphysical reality. Yeah, if one represents life and one represents death, perhaps Marika's creation of the meat tree portal started to make one die on the death side. So the meat portal seems to have been made prior to her. I think that was made by the Inquisitors of Bellerot, and I think she went there to overthrow Bellerot and then take her place. I do think so. This is so like weird because there's so much about Marika's plight that isn't touched on, and I think that that's intentional. Like there are some things like the Gloam-eyed Queen, and like what I talked about before, Velka, who we constantly see. Oh my god, I have an answer to you, Catastrophe, on what the meat portal does. Hold on, let me backtrack. So, and I talk about it in my new lore video that's coming out. Tower of Babel stuff. Yeah, 100%. Is the whole of Bellerot made out of bodies? Yes. Is the meat portal the divine gate? Yes. Sorry, I totally like lost my sense of my train of thought because I'm reading at the same time. So we don't get an answer to what Marika's original sin was, and we don't get an answer as to the structure of things prior to Marika's age, because I think it is intentionally lost to history. Which sucks, because I know that a lot of people were let down by that, because the story trailer that we see with Marika's like betrayal was so scandalous, and that like I kind of wish we knew, that we knew what it was, but like it is intentionally left out of history. It's intentionally left out. We're not supposed to know. But I think that's what makes it so like, yeah, nobody wrote it down. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be lost history. It's supposed to be, yeah, we're able to infer quite a bit, 100%. But, ooh, okay, so I am so angry. Here's one thing that I'm angry at. I'm actually pretty okay with the base of the story. I know a lot of people were disappointed by the ending. I am angry that they changed the Imperian Grandam's title, because I feel like that gave us so much. Her title alone gave us so much, because her being the Imperian Grandam allows us to understand that there were Imperians before. It allows us to understand that Queen Marika very clearly, and we also know there was Imperians before, given the Gloam-eyed Queen, and given the God of Rot, and given all these other concepts that we've seen. She's still the Imperian Grandam and the incantation for what it's worth. Okay, good. Okay, good. But yeah, I think that like, so from what I understand, and from what I can make out given the Imperian Grandam's title, there were Imperians before. All of the concepts and gods and things that dictate the reality of the Elden Ring, if we're following what Hyetta and Shabriri say, I think that all concepts were governed by the ring when it was all conjoined in equal harmony, based on the ring that we see in Farum Azula, right? But I think when she separated the Rune of Dust and Death and she kind of like neatly segmented stuff, at some point in history, the wandering warriors and like down in the Eternal Cities, there's some kind of sealing that happened with the God of Rot down there. It kind of seems like things slowly started to get put into place to separate certain things that like Marika did not like, to allow for her to have this endless era. So Rot and Death and like a bunch of other stuff that doesn't benefit her eternal age got sealed away. But when you seal those things away, they fester. And so instead of regular rot, we get scarlet rot, and it's starting to grow in areas that it shouldn't. Instead of regular death, we get, you know, this like fucked up. We get like a lot of fucked up shit regarding death. But yeah, there's a lot of like, yeah, Marika was chasing that cottagecore aesthetic hard. She was just trying to live her cozy cottagecore fantasy. But yeah, we got ultra death. Yeah, either the One Great, the Crucible, or the Rift Beyond the Stars. Yeah, 100%. 100% Del Toro. So TLDR, Marika's to blame for almost everything. I would say in her age as we know it, as we live in it as the Tarnished, yes. Because she's a god and she created a reality that is based off of like her trauma and like fundamentally flawed ideology. And that's what Goldmask says. He says that's the fly in the ointment, right? That's the fly in the ointment. But yeah, I think that is a good way of trying to understand it. Also, sorry, I'm going to eat a bite of this pastry. What is Marika's trauma that relates to Golden Order? And somebody else says, I'm so confused as to why she brought the pots with her. So I think that bodies are needed to create and sustain an era or an age via a tree of life. And depending on how you offer up those bodies is up to you as a ruler. Bellerot did it through what is called like ascetic religion. So it's this like religion centered around depriving oneself of joy, being eternally guilty, whipping oneself, punishing oneself in order to ascend to godhood, because in Abrahamic religions, being ascetic allows you, one, to feel like you understand the suffering of like your god. But I think also too, asceticism serves another purpose outside of, if we're looking at a fictional religion that doesn't have like an Abrahamic Christ figure in it outside of Marika, and we're just looking at asceticism as a concept, a lot of religious groups engage in asceticism to put distance between themselves and like material well-being or material greed. So a lot of them will like abstain from, you know, eating, like overeating or eating, like they'll engage in fast. They'll engage in letting go of material possessions or objects because they feel that greed and this sense of like individual entitlement is what ultimately leads to the suffering of others. And so by depriving oneself of material wealth or overindulgence, you are not harming other people. And so, yeah, Hornsent literally eat scorpion claws and consider it a delicacy. No better visual representation than that of asceticism. Like, yeah, there's a ton of Neoplatonic themes and theurgy. Kills and I were talking about it a bit. Yes. Yes. There's like just so much good representation of asceticism in Bellerot. Like, and I mean good as in like accurate. Like I think that there is really good accurate representation of why they would want to have engaged in asceticism, but then also how asceticism gets pushed onto others unconsensually. And I feel like a lot of people, we talk about Catholicism a lot in here, a lot of people who grew up under the Catholic Church or under groups that practice asceticism when you were a child, it is like straight up abusive, or it can be seen as like, it can really fuck you up when you're a kid, because you'll straight up like, it's like immense eternal guilt that is constantly being like pushed on you. Like you were born of sin. You should always feel guilty. You should always be repenting. And it's like this way of trying to hold oneself accountable to like carnal or innate desires, but like there's something else that's kind of going on there. Yeah, it breeds a fair amount of resentment, 100%. And I think Marika is on the receiving end of this as she grew up in the shaman village and she was seeing a lot of the shamans being abducted and used in the jar rituals. The people of Bellerot saw it as divine, to be suffering or lamenting. But for Queen Marika, she obviously very clearly didn't like this practice, so when she realized as a ruler she needed the jars, she repurposed the jar practice. So the jars are no longer about incorporating the flesh of those who are lamenting or the flesh of like the shamans. The jars are specifically used after Colosseum matches. So her and Godfrey created this like Colosseum culture where a lot of like Colosseum also I'll talk about, so Madi said there's a lot less self-flagellation in Buddhist asceticism. I'm going to talk about this because the Jesuit Catholics that went to Japan caused a rampant amount of self-flagellation in Japan. But yeah, this is like a whole thing. So she repurposes the jars. So she creates like this Colosseum culture where her and Godfrey have warriors fight each other, and they wear serpents to represent Messmer, because Messmer was being used as like and this was by Messmer's wishes, by the way. This is like a whole lore video that I could fucking make, which I'm probably going to make. But Messmer wanted his mother to use him as a scapegoat because Messmer conducted this like genocide against Bellerot for her, and she like wanted it. But I think that there was this one, there was the fear of the serpent that she had, but two, I think also being a ruler, like a divine sympathetic ruler who is like, you know, self-crucified and who has like all of this imagery surrounding like tears and forgiveness and kindness. I don't think that genocide looks great for that. So Messmer became a symbol of fear for her. And so that way she was able to like move forward with her age without this like symbolism of genocide and resentment and, you know, ethnic cleansing. And so Messmer was like, yeah, I'm going to take that on. I'm going to be that for you. Yeah, genocide is kind of an ick for me. Yeah. Oh wait, this is why Miyazaki is a genius, because modernized civilizations repurpose the suffering of superstition into the rhetorical valor of a state. Go off, Emily. So true. But, do we know if Messmer was her firstborn? I almost wonder if Messmer and Godwin are like roughly around the same age. Because like we did get confirmation that, oh yeah, he's definitely an older brother to Radahn, for sure. Radahn is like one of the youngest ones. And Radahn is also Rennala and Radagon's child. Messmer gives me bastard firstborn vibes. Yeah, 100%. Like, when was Melina actually born? Was she born after the separation of the Shadow Realm? Unfortunately, we don't. I think she was born, I don't know. We don't get too much confirmation. We do know that it's confirmed that that's Messmer's sister. But as far as why she's burnt and bodiless, there's a piece of me that almost wonders, and this is kind of like scandalous of me to think, but like, if the Shadow Tree needed to be burned, was she originally used as kindling at some point? And then that's why that's why she's a ghost and why she's burnt and bodiless? Like, was she used as kindling before? What's going on there? I double checked Messmer's kindling item because I was like, what? Why is she brought up in Messmer's kindling? Why is she brought up in Messmer's kindling? Like, is she the kindling? But when I looked at Messmer's kindling, it looks like his eyeball. Like, I think Messmer's kindling is, hold on, let me pull it up. Sorry. Let me see if we have a high quality image of it. Like, this to me looks like a snake eye. Like, I kind of wonder if that's the eye of, the eye of the snake that Marika plucked out, and then... I don't know. It looks like a snake eye, in my opinion. So... his other eye. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Also, Cuke is... Are you on it? Cuke is the fucking best. Cuke! Thank you. Cuke and Shrimp really are pulling it together today. This also, too, stood out to me because it almost looks like the groundwork for this is fingers. No. I mean, it could be. I don't know. Like, the actual kindling, but I don't know. Like, did Marika use Melina's body to set Messmer's eyeball aflame? I absolutely think Melina was used as kindling before. She's a kindling maiden. I wonder if that's Marika's attempt to hide away her other abyssal cursed child. Yeah. Somebody said, I thought his eye looked like Marika's rune. That's a fake eye. Bojack Goatman. That is a fake eye. What are you eating? I'm eating a... Hold on, can you guys see this? I can't see my viewfinder right now. It is a sweet galette pastry. It's like jam on like a small... on like a small piece of pastry. Melina has a tattoo on the missing eye. Did Marika pluck that one out too? I know. It's like her kids are like being burned and like having their eyes taken out. Okay, I've seen a lot of folks on social media, and this isn't any shade to anybody because like I think we're all able to interpret the lore as we want to. There's no right or wrong, I feel like, because a lot of us are just kind of guessing. Period. All of us are just guessing. But I do think as somebody who is now a step parent and as somebody who has worked with kids for like 6 years, even though Messmer makes the offer to hide Marika's sins because he sympathizes with her, it's very clear that like the Oh Mother statue is being used to hide entrance to the shaman village in the hinterlands. It's very clear that Messmer knows about the circumstances of his mother and is trying to protect his mother. While I think that that is like a sign of a loving child, given the way in which they deal with the horn scent and given the way in which they deal with concepts that they don't like, and given the way that she lets her child take the fall for her, I do not think that is a sign of like a loving parental relationship. I do not think allowing your son to take the fall for you is a sign of like a loving parent. I think it's clearly established in the lore that like Marika is scared of Messmer. A little bit. She is scared of him. She's scared of the base serpent that lives inside of him. As somebody that is currently has a kid in my life, if my kid was like, I'll take the fall for you, you would not catch me agreeing to that. You would not fucking catch me agreeing to that. No, I would rather like throw myself off a fucking cliff. It's not even my biological kid. It's my stepkid. And like, if my stepkid was like, hey, I'll commit a genocide for you and you can... Are you afraid your child will be at the end of you? Yeah, right? Or wait, are you afraid your child will be the end of you? Yeah, 100%. Oh, like... If you're a good parent, your child should be the end of you, right? That's kind of the point. It's kind of the point. Is that you're gonna die, and the lessons that you leave on, that you pass on to your children, that is, I don't know. Gowry pulled quote from you there. Yeah. Holy shit, can we pull up that quote from Gowry? The best way to help the youth is to be forgotten, or whatever? Yeah. Yeah. Your child just picks up the butterfly knife and ends you. So can we talk about the, I want to talk about the Abyssal Serpent really quick. The base serpent. Because I feel like that is a... And then we'll continue talking about the community theories. I want to talk about the Abyssal Serpent because I feel like it is a concept that's been reiterated on in Miyazaki's games, and I think a lot of it has to do with the serpent that... The Ouroboros, the serpent that wraps itself around the world and eats its own tail at the end of Ragnarok. And I think Rykard is like the second coming. I think that like Marika tried to seal away Messmer and seal away the Abyssal Serpent because the Abyssal Serpent is the sign of the end of the God's age. And I think this is just Ragnarok. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the story, like Miyazaki's been iterating on the story of Ragnarok in addition to other myths, but Ragnarok is kind of the center one. The base serpent is filling the oblivion of the end of all worlds trope in the Elden Ring world. Yes. Yes. I think that it's like pretty apt that we're using it in this context of like sin, and like maybe Marika's actions and behavior are her own abyss, and that's manifesting in her child. But, well, Jormungandr creates an Ouroboros. He bites his own tail at the end. It's like he's like depicting a symbol. Does that make sense? Yeah, this child is the actual omen of her failure. Yes. Marika's so Odin-coded with being afraid of her kids. It's true. Somebody, Lovecraftian says, Quaylog, maybe this is not the best time to ask. What are some history and mythology books you recommend picking up? This sucks because there's actually literally... So I would say Neil Gaiman's, or Gaiman... Yeah, Neil, I always said Neil Gaiman growing up, but I think it's Gaiman. Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology is a great, like, localization, translation. It's Gaiman. Okay, cool. Gay. But I know recently there were allegations. Oh, like, fuck. Mm-hmm. Womp womp. So, that sucks. Because, yeah, the allegations... Wait, against Neil? Yeah. It sucks too because I'm, like, the biggest Sandman fan of all time. 2 women recently came out that he had consensual relationships with, but both of them said that they experienced abuse during their time with him. And it was... that sucks. But I do think, why is it always Dung? I know, it sucks because, like, he's my go-to for whenever I recommend, like, translations, localizations, kind of, like, more modern ways to consume older poetic eddas. I would recommend Neil's work. Because that's, like, straight up how I learned, was, like, through his book. And then also Joseph Campbell, even though I'm like a big, like I fucking go on my like tangents about Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung all the fucking time on this channel. Yeah, it is what it is. I need to, yeah, somebody suggested other works in the chat. The only one left is Pratchett. Well, yeah. I don't know. Borrow the book from the library. 100%. Go support your library. Go support your local library. Go pick up a Neil Gaiman book. Go pick up Norse mythology from your library. That is a 100% amazing take and a good way to absorb. Libraries need it right now. Libraries. Okay, first off, hold on. Can I go on my fascism rant really quick? Can I go on my I'm not going to talk about like American politics in depth right now, but I do want to say any institution that is providing public knowledge for free, or any institution that's providing knowledge, period, needs your support right now out of fucking any period in history. Any period in history right now. Please, please. I hope it's an anti-fascism rant. It is. It is a keep humanity educated for free. We need to. Because that is like a tool of fascism, is to make us fucking stupid. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about the Gaiman thing. Or Gaiman thing. I'm sorry. Don't let them undo the 20th century, folks. Yes. Bro, I live in Florida. DeSantis is the devil for real. Okay, so I used to live in Nevada. Betsy DeVos tried to get, she had Dean Heller, who was living out of Nevada and like a politician in Nevada. They were trying to defund public schools in Nevada, like public schools. Like there are fucking people in our fucking political system right now who are trying to like only make education accessible for the wealthy. Fully. So please support your local libraries, support your education systems, support your teachers. Please. Yeah, it's going to be more important within the next 10 years than it's ever been. Period. And we have to like, don't despair about it. I know it's like super easy to give into despair and to like lay down about it, but like collectively just know we're all out here together. We're all out here together. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. I'm also gonna ban this person. Fuck you. Okay, let's keep going. Don't you dare go hollow. Okay, so forgive me if this was already talked about, but very minor spoiler. Some of you may have pieced this together from Zuli's recent breakdown of the Dancing Lion, but the Colosseum duelists and the Chained Lions are reenactments of Messmer's crusade in the Roman gladiatorial style. Sorry, we just talked about this, but you are so right. You are so right. The duelists wearing snake helmets would be paired up to fight these horned, white-haired dancing lions for the entertainment of the people. Lots of historical precedent here, some item descriptions backing it. Crazy to see that these were hints at the DLC from so early on. Worn by gladiators who were driven from the Colosseums, the bearer would become slightly easier to target for foes. The snake is viewed as a traitor to the Erd tree, and the audience delighted in seeing these bronze effigies beaten and battered. This is also a really interesting point that you're making about this, because even though LMAO, I banned them first, I claim them. So I want to talk about this a little bit. So I think that even though Belurat was hated by Marika, I think that she tries to paint a sympathetic image of them because of Sarash's standing in the court as the king regent, and I think that she tries to like create. She is reinterpreting history here. It is like fully a different take on history, and I think that what actually happened. We know the truth of what actually happened. What actually happened is that she overthrew the people of Belurat, and she had Messmer, her son, who is the snake, committed genocide. But I think what she is trying to say with her kind of like her story and the story of the lands between is that that people like Godfrey and Sarash were all victim to this traitorous serpent, and and that all that is left is like her Erd tree and like Godfrey and Siraj, and like they're the chosen people. They're the ones who survived the traitorous Serpent. I'm gonna keep saying it. So I think that there's definitely... Do you think that it's possible that Godfrey is one of the Hornsent descendant, not full-on Hornsent, given how much he's associated with the Crucible and his 2 omen sons? I 100% agree with that. Ergophobia, yes. I don't know if he was, like, of Belurot. He's definitely more Celtic-coded. But I do think that we're getting, like, some revisionist history going on, and I do think that he plays a role in that. And I think that Siraj plays a role in that too. What do we know about Siraj? We just know that Siraj is like a divine beast. A lot of folks have been speculating now, like a really popular theory that is floating around is that Siraj could have been related to like the Stormveil ruler. Given like the fact that Horalu and Nefeli Lu, like her lineage confirms that there's some kind of like Godfrey Lu connection to Stormveil in some way. It could be because Horalu marched on Morn Castle and like Limgrave, but I'm still... There's just so much that we can speculate that doesn't have like confirmed... Yeah, I'm pretty sure Hornsent are not separate ancestry. They're just dudes who spontaneously sprouted horns and make it a symbol for their elitism. I don't think that it's spontaneous sprouting. I don't think that it's necessarily genetic, but I do think it's environmental, and I think that's why it's important that they cultivate the horns using the head wraps and like dead bugs, because they're using bug sacrifice to grow horns on their heads. But we see the budding horn sacrifice happen in regard to like entities that exist near the Crucible. Why do you think the Greater will abandon the lands between? That is such a good question, Ruth, and I feel like not knowing is my favorite part of yeah, not spontaneous, just more random. 100%. I'm with you. But I think I love the fact that we don't know what happened to the Greater Will. And like, given the fact that they're using light to communicate and it's taking so long for information to move between Meteor and everybody else, that like, I have some theories. Yeah, that makes it sound like the Greater Will died. Yes. I think that when Marika broke the ring, I think she either broke the Greater Will, or I think that like when she started fragmenting the Greater Will, a part of me wonders if that impacted the Greater Will to some extent, or if it impacted the way in which Meteor communicates with the Greater Will, if that makes sense. Because Meteor uses her tail, which is like it's a spiral too. And then there's like an orb on top of it. And that's like her divine cell phone is her tail. We know that Ymir tries to recreate this divine cell phone. And I kind of wonder if the shadow tree, since it grows in a double helix and there is like the sunflower at the base of it, I kind of wonder if that was like the fucking satellite dish. But like, that's my own tinfoil hat theory. I kind of wonder if like when the shadow tree was broken and when everything happened, that everything got busted. something got busted. Something got busted. Somewhere something got busted. Wasn't there a being that existed as one with all the outer gods combined? Yes, that is the one great, which I think is the Greater Will. Meteor's microcosm also exactly mirrors the fingers with the Erd tree seeds. Yes. Satellite dish mentioned. I assume the things that collect starlight shards are basically magical satellite dishes. So that is, those things are supposed to be used to like measure star movement. Yeah, the one great and the greater will must be the same. Yes. I think that, like, the greater will existed. I don't know. Okay, so can I also talk about something else? This is a side tangent, but I think it's intentional based off of, like, Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin's writing. But there is... Do y'all know about, like, the Nordic aliens? It's like a white supremacy thing. Do y'all know about that? I do think it's being used in Elden Ring as kind of like a commentary. But, the what now? Yes, yes. Okay. Of course, girly, the tall whites. Yeah, there's this, belief. There's this belief that Aryans, and this is a belief that originated with, like, the Nazi movement, but there's this belief that a lot of Scandinavians who are, like, very tall and blonde came from the stars. They came from the Pleiades star cluster, and it's used quite a bit in fiction. Unfortunately, a lot of these, like, Nazi ideals, like, trickle down into weird fiction and, like, Western fiction, which is, like, unfortunate. Yeah, the starseed shit, yeah. But yeah, I do think that it is, it's used a little bit to talk about, like, the Newman being from, like, another world, and I think there's a lot. Yeah, esoteric fascism and the Volkish movement with Nazism are both obsessed with Nordic myth and distorting the myth to fit their ideologies. 100% demon, and I think that's what's happening in the game. And they arrive on boats, yeah. Wait, are we talking about the Nazi aliens? Yeah, we are. I can't believe that space elves are actual old lore. Yes, bitch, yes, bitch. Yes, yes. But I do think that it, that was Nazi in origin. Why can't we have nice things? I know, right? It sucks because I don't think a lot of people that used the aesthetics of it in their Western fantasy understood the... So this is like Lovecraft 2.0, by the way. So when Lovecraft made, you know, deep fish, you know, like made the deep, like weird cosmic alien fish people, you know, so spooky. I think that when a lot of people took, like, moved forward and iterated on Lovecraft's work, and they were like, oh yeah, I love these scary fish, man. Obviously, the people borrowing these aesthetics did not know that the fishmen were supposed to be about mixed race people. I don't think that sometimes racist metaphor continues to be racist throughout history. Do you know what I mean? I love your ad-libs. Do you know what I mean, though, Jean? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that when people used Eldritch shit in their video games or in their tabletop stuff, that they knew that it was about mixed race people. I don't think... Yeah, Lovecraft stories are literally just people who aren't white, the horror. It's not even just people that aren't white. It's like you have to be the right kind of white. Yeah, it's just a meme diluted of meaning. It's fine. Yeah, exactly. But I think that Miyazaki has made a very explicit effort to tug at the strings of these things in Western mythology and in Western fiction that do have racist roots, and he quite literally, like, responds to them. Like, he keeps those, like, aspects of things like fascism and purity and creating, like, the perfect golden child, and you know, like with Bloodborne, creating like transcending human evolution to become something better, but at the expense of slaughtering, you know, tons of innocent people at a fishing hamlet. It definitely seems like he's quite literally... Yeah. George R. R. Martin has the deep ones and loads of Lovecraft nods in A Song of Ice and Fire. He's not racist. Those things just end up cemented in fiction. 100%. And I think that they change form, but I think George R. R. Martin and George R. R. Martin and Miyazaki use those things, and they've revived the traditional meaning and metaphor of what those things were supposed to be talking about, but they've since responded on them. Yeah, whiteness was never a skin color, it's just arbitrary in group. Yes, it just manifested that way. Because it's like the easiest aesthetic signifier of like, it's like they created this like false idea of purity, and like using a color is the most blatant and easiest thing to poke at, you know? But then once you kind of like get past color, then you get into like hair color, eye color, you know? You could be the wrong kind of white. You could be like an ethnic white, which is like fucking insane. Like, fucking insane. But, you know, yeah, they don't ignore the context, yes. Yeah, I love... So somebody said on Lovecraft, this is why I love Eldritch horror, as it moves beyond Lovecraft. Lovecraft wasn't even the first, and Eldritch horror is deeper and more interesting than when people move beyond his prejudice. 100%. And I would even argue that people like Ambrose Bierce and people like Robert W. Chambers, they did weird fiction and like kind of the original Eldritch fiction, but they were responding, well, specifically Robert Chambers. I don't know about Ambrose Bierce, but Robert Chambers was responding to the rise of fascism, like in a very horrific way. Like the dystopian future that he depicted in his first story in The King in Yellow is fucking awful. It's awful. Del Toro is Lovecraft, but not racist and horny. I feel like Del Toro also does the same thing that Miyazaki does, or he responds to, I join here in fascism is the first word seems good, because we're talking about the history of fiction. Ambrose Bierce was mainly inspired by his experience in the Civil War, for sure. But Del Toro, yeah, Del Toro is horny, what? But, no, Del Toro does the same thing that Miyazaki and George R. R. Martin do, where he'll take tropes and he uses them to kind of like explore his own, you know, race and background. Like he'll do it to kind of like explore where he exists, because like there was that whole interview about Shape of the Water about how he couldn't see himself as like the white Western hero in like all of those stories, and that he saw himself as the monster a lot of the time. Yes, the fishmen are good, actually. It's such a power move. As somebody who is like, he would be a Lovecraft fishman. He would be. Like, Lovecraft fucking hated people from all over Europe and South America. He was threatened by like the Portuguese. Yeah, Pan's Labyrinth is also a good example of dealing with fascism, 100%. Del Toro is my heart, I love him, same. Pan's Labyrinth wasn't horny, no. I'm talking about like Shape of the Water and stuff too. But yeah, the Newmen have a lot of parallels with Gaelic mythos. I agree with that. But I think that a lot of Marika and Godfrey's era encapsulates like a huge snapshot of mythology and culture from like several thousand years. Like there's Celtic mythology, there's Germanic mythology, there is Roman, there's like so much that they, like so many different cultures artistically, spiritually, and mythologically that like encapsulate them with the runes and everything else. There's a lot of like Nordic shit too. Are we talking about One Piece? One Piece fishmen. Yeah. A splash of I love the Pan's Labyrinth spoiler. Yeah, the white man. He made the eye hand guy. That was explicitly about white men. I think he like confirmed that as well. Because he's like a gluttonous white man. Anyway. Anyway. To see is to take. Yeah, white fascist man. Yes, which is like fully what Pan's Labyrinth is about. It's about like a white fascist man who has entered this area. I'm only a little gluttonous. So Mitch McConnell is, lol, never mind. No, 100%. Okay, am I the white man in Pan's Labyrinth looks so much like Mitch McConnell. It's insane. It's like actually fucking unreal. Unhinged. What's your thought on the Church of the Bud? What does the bud even represent? Looking at the pole blades of the bud, the blade looks real similar to what Marika reaches into in the story trailer. I don't think so. I think the story trailer does depict the story trailer does depict Romina holding the bud, though. For sure. But the flower used to be something else entirely, which is really cool. There's some really neat flower lore that talks about how the Church of the Bud didn't used to represent rot, but that Scarlet Rot took over. I'm presuming after Scarlet Rot was sealed away in the Grand Cloister. It seems like that gives us some hint about the time period of the Wandering Swordsman too, is that there's some shit. There is some shit. What is it that Marika reaches into in the trailer? I've been wondering that since I beat the DLC. A lot of folks think it is a big snake. A lot of folks think it is... I still personally think that it's the influence that the other Empyreans had. I think that that is like another Empyrean. But as to what it is, I think it will forever be a mystery. Some people think that that is like her grandmother's hair, too. That was like put into, I don't know. You could definitely see a stitch seam. I agree with that, Del Toro. I'm more on the, I think it's clothing side of the spectrum. But we don't fucking know. We don't fucking know, and we'll never know. And it is what it is. Okay, so... Observation last year in December about Marika's bedchamber having a ton of scrolls made from the birch and aspen tree bark that grows in Altus, and I thought it was just a small environmental historical detail that FromSoft flew in, but then I felt so excited when entering the Specimen Storehouse for the first time, and immediately seeing the same stone tablets that are in her bedchamber, and also finding the secret right scroll, and seeing that it may be made of the same white tree bark. There are also some of the same stone tablets and raw ruins, which is likely where all the tablets, ancient scrolls, rites, and specimens all originated from. Yes! Go off, Darth. This is true, and you should say it louder. This is true, and you should say it louder. Also, really cool motif in Marika's bedchamber and this area that you're seeing right here. This geometric shape in the floor is the seed of life, and it can create the tree of life. Cool. Sacred geometry stuff that's being used in the game. You love to see it. You love to see it. But yeah, there's a lot of really neat lore here regarding colonization and stealing knowledge. Another thing too that I want to talk about here regarding stealing knowledge is that Messmer and who was the other guy? Oh my god, I have them in my notes. There's a man who's actually fighting on the inside. He's one of Messmer's forces. Sorry, my brain map is like... There is a guy who I really like who is in one of Messmer's forces, and he fights Salza. So he's a sage of the Fire Knights, and Wego and some of the Fire Knights who were Messmer's boys that he would send to like go genocide everything, they were sent to go raise and burn all of the knowledge. But Salza tried to preserve as much knowledge as he could. I can't talk. So there was like a movement in Messmer's Knights that were like focusing on the preservation of knowledge, which like, one, fuck all these people. But two, if you're going to like be the fucking bane of existence and wipe out a whole race. Thank God that like somebody was fighting to preserve. There's so much history and art that has been lost because of the burning of libraries and museums and churches or religious places. So we love Salsa in this house. I fucking hate all of them, but like, thank God for Salsa. Thank God for Salsa. We love it. We love to see them. To be fair, Salsa's Reign of Fire also burned a bunch of villages down. It did, but it seemed like he didn't like that. So that's cool. Okay. So talking Miquella as a parameter, did Marika do the same thing at the gate? Like, let her flesh and etc. go? What she discarded? Did Godfrey die and was brought back? I kind of wonder if that's the case given Brawny, the dialogue regarding him being exiled and the image that we have of him being speared to a tree. Or, like, he's, like, hanging from a tree and he's all bloodied and, like, fucked up looking. I kind of wonder if that is, like, part of the timeline. But I'm not quite sure. That's also, like, another thing that I feel like we can speculate on, but that we won't have any solid knowledge. I need more chips. I can't get enough of this salsa. Probably crazy, but was Godric told of the stories of the shaman village? We'll return together to our home bathed in rays of gold. Yeah, I kind of wonder about this too, or if he's referring to the Badlands, or if the Badlands even existed, like, or if they're really, really far away, I'm not quite sure, or if he's referring to Leyndell and the Tarnished return to Leyndell. There's a lot. When Ronnie went through the dark path of the Imperian, did she go through the Gate of Divinity? No, because I think... So it seems like going through the Gate of Divinity isn't something that you have to do unless you are fully trying to change the nature of reality, because all you need to do to become like Elden Lord... So let me phrase it this way. Like, Queen Marika created like the rules of reality, and we can amend the rules of reality through the Erd Tree now, whereas before that isn't how it used to happen. Miquella is like fully trying to do something else. He's not trying to like amend the Erd Tree. He's trying to like do a totally different thing. But yeah. Wait, are bodies via pots required to maintain the tower itself, or just the Divine Gate? So they had to create the tower to reach the heavens. It's the Tower of Babel myth, but there's a painting that actually confirms that they were using the pots and the bodies to build to the heavens, was their goal. And it seems like they had a plan or an agenda with doing that, and it seems like Queen Marika took it. If that makes sense. Which, like, there's a piece of me that I feel like Queen Marika was, like, girl bossing. Like, there's a point in which I'm like, yes, Marika, go off. And then there is a quick point in which I'm like, oops. Oops, you went too far. Like, I think her climbing to the top of the Divine Tower and seeking revenge on the people that hurt her people, like, fighting to get out of, like, a system of oppression, fantastic. We love to see it. Then, after the fact, committing a genocide. Yeah. Girl boss is too close to the sun. She became her oppressors, yeah. There is, like, a point in which, like, you overthrow the ruling party. But it seemed like not only did she commit a little genocide, she also, I don't think, understood... I don't know. I think she understood that the need for jars was going to, like, continue in perpetuity. I think that she understood that there was a need for the working class, if that makes sense. But yeah, the committing a genocide and not really understanding why things need to exist in balance the way that they do, I think is a little bit of a fart. What? A problem on her end. I don't know why I said a fart. We're just like spitballing at this point. Pro-labor genocide, go off, girly. Shut up, Waves. Genocide was a little bit of a fart. But yeah, I felt the same way. I felt the same way about the Hornsent character. The Hornsent is like, hey, I don't wish any ill will on anybody. I just want to beat the shit out of Messmer. And I was like, I got you, man. I was with him. I took him there. I put him on my back and I took him all the way up to Messmer. And I was like, let's push this man's shit in. We pushed his shit in. And then he was like, just kidding. It can't stop there. I need to kill everybody associated with the Golden Order. I don't think he betrays you, but I don't think he realized that, like, after you get a little revenge, you're supposed to let it go. And I don't think that that's how trauma works. You know, like, I don't think it just ends. Period. I don't think that it just ends. I think you deserve a little bit of a revenge. Yeah, he didn't realize he was still hungry. I feel like you deserve a little revenge as a treat if you've been oppressed, but like there's a point in which you have to like stop and sit yourself down and be like, hey, this wasn't enough. Why? He can invade you in raw. Oh, 100%, because he's trying to wipe out the Tarnished. He's like fully, any descendants of Marika and Godfrey deserve to get blown the fuck up. I don't know why he jumped me. We could have beat Miquella's ass together. I know, that's what I was saying, but you know, whatever. I feel so sad about Miquella's ending getting cut out for a second time. Truly a missed opportunity. I don't know, man. I feel like did Quayla go over Godfrey's origins, revisiting him stapled to the tree in the opening combined with Marika's divinity ritual makes me curious if Godfrey was part of the non-Hornsent shaman peoples. Yes, we've been talking about that a little bit. I feel like Miquella's ending is just like, I know we keep talking about fascism. Miquella's ending is just fascism. And I don't think, like, I think that the fact that his story wasn't compatible with ours is like important. Because it's straight up, they're a little bit different. They're a little bit different than Marika's. So Marika commits genocide and she like blows people up, but Miquella fully removes free will and agency in order to bring about, it's definitely benevolent dictatorship. Yeah. But like he quite literally marries like a war general. Like it's like a full-blown like this is I mean, I was gonna say this is very Asian, but I would say it's also very Roman. It's very Roman, but like the immortal, loving, benevolent god emperor who's like married to a war general is like very on the nose. It's very on the nose. It's a difference between a tyrant and a dictator. I mean, that's just aesthetics, though. But like, yeah, Miquella turns everybody into slaves for the sake of peace. And what is peace if it's not willingly chosen? 100%. But I think that this is also a byproduct of like not having faith in humanity. It's Trump and his surface level love of generals too. Yeah, like I think that when people are okay, hold on, let me backtrack. When people are exposed to like human suffering, so if we grow up around like a bunch of people and they can't seem to get their shit together, and we see Marika and we see how fucked up she was treated, and we also see how fucked up she responded. If we see this cycle of suffering, it makes total sense that when Miquella came into contact with all of that information, that their conclusion is that it is free will that causes this suffering, because humans are innately bad, or like mortals, demigods are innately bad, and so therefore we have to fully compel everyone to be kind to each other. But that misses the point, because you're not realizing that it is the environment that people are put in that causes them to react and to suffer. Like, it's not necessarily... No, I don't think Miquella... It's difficult to say. I don't think Miquella is necessarily evil, but I think he's fundamentally misguided and doesn't understand. Yeah, okay, wait, I don't think Miquella has the mentality of a child. He has the mentality of a royal kid. Yes. Yes, 100%. Because I think you don't understand why people do awful things until you're poor. You don't get it until you're literally like on the bottom, like homeless, unemployed. You don't have the means to provide for yourself. You don't have the means to take care of yourself or people in your life. You will not understand why people still steal, or like why people hurt other people, or why people take advantage of other people, or why, like, you, until you are poor, you will not understand why people make the choices that they make. Period. And so it isn't that people are inherently bad, but that it's that their material circumstances and the situation in which they live in is not good. And so we have like the wandering caravan who's being buried alive under the Capitol. We have the omen who are being thrown into the sewers. We have the misbegotten who are enslaved and used as labor workers. We have those who live in death who are being hunted by like these vampire hunters, these zombie hunters. We have like a bunch of shit. And then we have Miquella who sees all this suffering and is affected by it. I do think that Miquella is affected by the shit that's like happening with the disenfranchised, but I don't think he knows correctly how to like solve it, because he doesn't understand. Like, he thinks it's something that's innate. I think that a lot of people who haven't experienced suffering won't be able to come to the natural conclusion that like it is not an innate aspect of humanity, and that it's like a circumstantial aspect of humanity, if that makes sense. And I think this is like, sorry, this is like a whole ass like Western religion thing. I think we get it in our minds that like people are born good or evil, and that is like a whole other a whole other thing. You're keeping us on board pretty well. Okay, good. I think that like it can get kind of twisted, and a lot of folks will think that like certain human behaviors are like innate because we're born a certain way, and that's why people come to the conclusion that people or humans are fundamentally evil, and so therefore they must be subjugated and controlled or brainwashed into being good. So, but it's I totally buy this reading. I'm not sure if Trina understood how Miquella was misguided. She seemed more concerned with protecting him from godhood. I think that she understood. So wait, I actually was talking to Bree Bunn about this because there was somebody who translated something. Hold on, let me see if I could pull it up. Bree Bunn got a submission from somebody about the St. Trina dialogue. Okay, so a follower of mine has a Japanese friend who translated St. Trina's lines. Apparently, a caged divinity is beyond saving is actually a caged divinity cannot save anyone in Japanese, which is very interesting, potentially shining a light on the issue with ascension and godhood. Trina says, a caged divinity cannot save anyone. I know the English translation says it's beyond saving, but the literal Japanese are cannot save anyone. I provide evidence from a friend who lives in Japan. Da 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 da. So it seems more, yeah, it's that Saint Trina is not concerned about Miquella himself, but the fact that he will not become the kind of god that he wants to be, and he will not be able to save everyone he wanted, which showcases his original goals. So it's a bro just leaking DMs out here. There's no, me and Bree just talk about lore, so I just leaked me and Bree's lore DMs. But yeah, so I'm not tripping about it. But yeah, Bree also submitted that to me for me to go over during lore stuff, so we're lore. Yeah, there's so many Brees. It's just lore yapping LMAO, yeah. I think that Saint Trina was more mature because of her innate power over sleep. She could understand why people resorted to sleep over being awake and alive. Whoops. Meanwhile, Miquella only saw what happened around him and not why. I think also too, like a really big lore thing that was removed from the game was the Saint Trina Cradle song. Wait, LOL, I have Bree lore DMs intact. Yeah. I think that the big thing there with that is that there used to be cut content regarding Saint Trina coming in contact with the wandering caravan and being able to like lull them to sleep, so that way their suffering isn't a thing. So it seems like Saint Trina is able to like Saint Trina is able to kind of like understand how suffering is perpetuated. I just kind of feel like Miquella gave up. Like Miquella was kind of tugging at the threads of suffering and like made the wrong conclusion and then took away free will. Like it just kind of seems like they decided on like an easy answer to fix everything as opposed to like, I don't know. See ya, sneaky turtle. Yeah, the working class / poor and oppressed people and indigenous people should have self-determination. It's not on you as a perfect white blonde uber mensch to deliver, or to, oh wait, individual to choose for them, yes. Yeah. Sorry, I totally butchered that, but yes. Oh wait, LMAO, I feel like Miquella gave up. Honestly, same. I think he pussyfooted out too. He was like, what the fuck? I can't be a god twink like this, and turned back. Well, I think it's more like he just, yeah, femboys are never beating the fascism allegations. That's okay though. Why did Miquella give up on saving Godwin and Melina? I think that like he pursued it. But yeah, it's he kind of got lost in the sauce. I think, yeah, I think Godwin straight up, you cannot reverse what happened. But I also think, also I might have to go get Cooper. The girls are fighting. The girls are barking. Yeah, I don't think he gave up on them at all personally. I think it was something that he needed actual godhood for. Yeah, because like his journey was set out because of Melina. Hold on, let me go get Coop. Hold on, y'all. All right, we're back. Okay, so what I was trying to get at, I think that a lot of people are really quick to jump at the, like, Miquella is evil blanket statement. But I think that it is a little misguided to think that. Same with, like, obviously same with Marika. The end point of that is not to kind of, like, obviously don't get it twisted. This isn't me saying that I think that Miquella is good or that he is justified in his actions. Same goes for Marika. I don't think that either of them are good or justified in their actions, but I think that there's like a very clear message that's being stated here. And the message is that nobody's immune from slipping into fascism or slipping into subjugation or slipping into revenge or slipping into desire or slipping into ambition. Nobody's immune to that. All of us, especially if we experience trauma and suffering ourselves, have a very, like, strong likelihood to put that on others and exhibit that because that's all we know. And oftentimes we repeat these cycles because of, like, it's what we're exposed to, but then also we feel like we, you know, we need our just desserts. But I think that Miquella's suffering is the inability to fix. So, like, Miquella set out to rid Melina of her scarlet rot. We know this with the needle item. We know that he had been trying to cure this scarlet rot for most of his childhood. For most of their upbringing, there's statues of them as children that are paired together from when they're, like, little, all the way until when Melina is, like, fully grown, where it's very clear that there's this degree of suffering watching his sister lose limbs and, you know, lose sight. And it seems like because of that circumstance that, and it's explicitly said in the game that he leaves Golden Order fundamentalism because it could do nothing for Melina's rot, right? So it's very clear that there is, like, a reason. It's very clear that there's a purpose. And so he leaves and he creates the Halig tree, but then there is a point in which he needs Radahn's vow, and then that's the cinematic that we get. And this is where I think, remember how I was saying they were hinting at Radahn really early? They made a full-blown cinematic. Like, they're the only two who have, also don't look at my fucking recommended videos. It's all gonna be Chloe Ting and, like, Pilates and Northern Lion videos? What? Also watch Marco Meatball. It's like the story trailer. It's this one. Like, we get a full ass fucking... Hold on, sorry. We're gonna get hit with, like, an ad. Watch. Just watch. We get a full ass fucking cinematic look at these two, which we never got for anybody else. And then she does the thing where she whispers into his ear, and we got confirmation on what she was whispering. Hold on, wait. This part where she stabs herself. And then she's like... And then... right here. We get to fucking learn what she whispered. Which is sick. You love to see it. Lean beef patty, yeah. I think... she stabs him, marry me instead of Miquella. Yeah, the whisper was so long ago and never mentioned again that everyone forgot about it. I know, right? Okay, this is a long one. I'm pretty sure everything happening in the DLC happened before in the lands between. If we were to imagine that the DLC wasn't initially planned, we might be able to see that Miquella tried the same thing before but failed. Entertain the thought that Miquella was a part of the Knight of the Black Knives. He wanted Godwin as a consort. He abandoned Trina near the capital, and he tried to ascend to godhood inside the Halig tree. He wasn't able to ascend, and Godwin did not die a true death. So, like, that could be Rune. But the thing is that he vowed to Radahn when he was younger. So it seems like that's a thing. Thank you. I can't talk anymore. Thank you, Lo-Fi. I'm so tired. Why did she whisper, or what did she whisper? She whispered that you have to honor your vow to Miquella, to Radahn. I'm slurring really bad, y'all. A boy can love more than one brother. It's true. Wait, hearing X was involved in Night of the Black Knives actually gives me PTSD. I don't want to talk about that ever again. Same Shishomaru. I feel it. Miquella awaits the O Promise Consort, yeah. Heatwave inbound? Might be cluster already. Ah, shit. I need to go to the hardware store. Really bad. But like everything is closed for 4th of July. This is a nightmare. I might, so for those of you that are curious about my stream schedule, normally I stream at 11 a.m. most weekdays. However, tomorrow is going to be like, Friday is going to be like I'm going to be hardcore home improvementing. I'm going to be like fully rebuilding my apartment almost. So I'm not going to be streaming on Friday. But I will try to stream on the weekend a little bit, maybe. No, not Saturday. I lied. I lied to you. Sunday, maybe? But 11 a.m. PST, yeah. Stardust. 9 Soul stream? No, I am going to do a 9 Soul stream, Waves. Can you do a hardware DIY stream? No. I feel like I don't have a one of those clippy microphones. But I need to finish mounting. I've mounted 3 guitars on the wall. And then I need to finish mounting a couple more, and then I need to build a wooden plank. I have to build like a full ass like panel to insulate our apartment so that way I can run my AC unit. Because the company that I bought my AC from doesn't sell panels. It's like a full ass thing. When's the next co-op randomizer stream? I don't know. But it's gonna be a lot. Just turn off your noise gate, easy. Oh no, just like hearing power tools and me screaming from across the room. Congrats on the Radahn defeat. I definitely like cheesed the shit out of that, though, to be fair. Yeah, it's not the ultimate solution, but the people will have to figure it out. Her action gives people the chance to do that instead of being ruled over by whatever the hell the ring is. I agree with this take, but I also think it wasn't her original goal setting out. I think that was something that was midway through her rule that she realized it was, this ain't it. Okay, wait, I'm confused about the timeline when it comes to the dragons, the Crucible, and the Elden Lord Placidus Axe. It seems like the DLC jumbled around a little bit. What do you think, Quaylog? So I am kind of like, I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about like the history of the DLC, and it's hard to discern whether or not there was one era before where everything existed in harmony, and there was the Grand Cloister, or like rot, life and death. Not like rot in the sense that we know it, but like rot in the sense that decayed matter facilitates new life, like birth. So I kind of feel like Ul Palace is kind of like the taking old matter and creating something new. I feel like Fair Missoula is like the death of matter. That's like where matter goes to be buried. I feel like the Gloam-eyed Queen and the the birds were involved in like processing death and burning the bodies in their kilns. I feel like the fell god was also in charge of burning both the body and the soul. I feel like Placidusax was the dragon lord who had like a god that he swore fealty to, and I kind of wonder if that god was the fell god. I wonder if like the Imperians, the fell sun god and the Gloam-eyed queen were all alive at the same time, or if there were different kingdoms, just like various different kingdoms, like layers and layers of kingdoms, or if all the kingdoms coexisted. I was wondering how the putrescent relates to rot and the deathbirds. I talked about this at the beginning of the stream, but it definitely seems like that was what happens to matter that isn't processed. So like normally matter is supposed to be burned by the deathrite birds and by the Gloam-eyed queen, but it's not. And so it's just being like dead matter is just being collected in these big boats and like shipped to the Shadowlands. Every time someone says Gek, I get confused and thinking we're talking about graphical EQ. Oh no. It's the story of diverse faiths being squashed by monotheism. I agree with that, but I also think that given like the time periods that are being represented, that there is also layers and layers of history in the game too. But I do think that there's like the monotheism colonialism thing for sure. Someone on YouTube claimed that Meteor was Placidusax's god. I almost feel like I need to like percolate on the implications of Meteor a little bit. Elton John, it definitely isn't just monotheism is bad, but it is the way in which mortals interface with religion that is like fundamentally fucky. I think that like something about the Gloam-eyed Queen's era and like death in the previous era is that it not only did it acknowledge suffering and death, but it like reveled in it almost like too much. There are a lot of religions that accept that like death is a noble truth, or that like suffering is a noble truth. But I do think that like there's a lot. If the early lore videos aren't great yet, no real shade to them. I know it's early, just saying. Yeah, but to be fair, Jean, I do think that there's like some things in the lore, after having like deep dive all the item descriptions and looking into everything, I don't know. I don't know if certain things are important, or if certain connections are important. Did you read Freud's Magic Writing Pad essay? I think it's relevant to how the history is treated in Elden Ring. Yeah, I agree. Like I quoted that Ada Palmer excerpt, or it was like a preface. I always say preface because my brain is broken, for the Book of the Sun, Book of the New Sun series. Is it New Sun, Old Sun? But yeah, I think that there's a lot of lore, like... Yeah, okay, wait, so somebody said the Gloam-eyed Queen and Godwin are just not as important as people think they are, and that reckoning has to happen for the story to make sense, I think. So I think they are important, Jam, but I don't think they're important in the sense that, like... How do I say this? I don't think they're important in the character drama. Like, period. But I think that their existence is important. Like, I think that, I think the fact that there was a a queen that existed or presided over the concept of death, and the fact that death has been suppressed in the lands between is incredibly important. I feel like that's the whole crux of the conflict, the issue. But it's that, like, she's dead and we can't go back in time, and her story has been suppressed. And I don't think, yeah, their existence and absence is important. Yes, 100%. Like, the absence of certain things is, like, incredibly important. It's incredibly important. Somebody says, is Melina sealing away the Gloam-eyed queen in the same way Messmer is sealing away the Abyssal Serpent? A part of me thinks so, Ricky Bobby, because both of their eyes act as seals. %. So sorry if you already talked about this, but do you take anything from the overlapping red and blue fields and the similar and the twin bird shield looking similar? Yes, I do. So I think that red and blue, the red and blue birds represent the physical body and the spiritual body in the game. We get that, like, confirmed through various, like, red and blue colored items, but it's literally like HP, MP, spiritual energy and, like, vitality. We get that a lot with, like, the crimson and cerulean color being used for, like, restorative items, but then also, like, the crimson and cerulean assassin blades. We get it through Ronnie and Godwin's story. One kills the body, the other kills the soul. We get, like, this like, interesting mix. But then we also find out too that Ghost Flame used to be purple. So we're seeing, like, a lot of really interesting color stuff happening. Yeah. Hi, Anjani, longtime lurker. Sometimes chatter. Been sub since Epic Name Bro give you a shout out back in the early Dark Souls 1 days. Oh, that's so sweet. This is totally unrelated, but I always thank you for making me discover some of my favorite bands. Banner Pilot through your Tumblr album recommendations. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm glad that I can also be, like, a source of music and art and movie. Also, what the fuck is this song? Hold on. We're just sliding through the Atlas playlist right now. But yeah, I do think that the color subject... Yeah. On the color subject, I heard a theory that green represents the third aspect tied to Crucible. Yes, so green is typically associated with the stamina bar, but also regenerative stamina. So there's a lot of... Thank you for recommending TJ Maxx to me. Good, I'm glad y'all are enjoying TJ Maxx. Godskin noble born from blue worms. Myself. It's really good if you have, like, TJ Maxx is really great if you have any family from Spain or from parts of South America. It's very relatable. It's relatable content. It's definitely... Wait, is the only thing we have on Melina being related to the Gloam-eyed Queen is that she says something about destined death at the end? Am I missing something? So she has a crow foot on her eyeball, and crows and the birds, like the deathrite birds, were in charge of governing death. She talks about destined death a lot, but when she opens up her eye at the end of the Frenzied Flame ending, she has a Gloam-eyed, which is like a soft purple, and she says, "I will grant you destined death." So it's very clear that there's some kind of seal that is inside her, like Messmer. But we never get to see it because Velka. Velka, babes. And also the births still continue death dialogue. Yeah, 100%. I 100% think that, okay, wait. So here's my take. For iterative concepts, for iterative concepts, the Abyssal Serpent, the King Seeker Frampt, all of the snakes, the Dark Souls, like the Abyss endings, all of the darkness and Abyss stuff, definitely related to Messmer. All of the Crow, Death, Dark Moon, Death, Crows, related, like occult, secret worship, Velka. Ronnie has so much more Gloam-eyed Queen symbolism. But the bird does have two heads, Grunk. I don't see much of the Ronnie having Gloam-eyed Queen symbolism. Because the Gloam-eyed Queen existed as an Imperian before Queen Marika. Ronnie never mentions anything about Destined Death, and she has to steal the Rune of Death away from Malekith to enact it. But I think that Ronnie is like moon related. She takes the Elden Ring and she chucks it into space, removing its influence from our lives in the way that it has. But yeah. I think I saw a theory about Ronnie's mentor maybe being the Gek. That was actually my theory that was floating around. So Ronnie's mentor, Rena, is the snowy crone, and in a lot of like Nordic and Scandinavian myth, the snowy crone's associated with death. And I kind of wondered if Rena was the Gloam-eyed Queen a little bit because of the... But I don't know. It's weird because she has 4 arms too, and so does Miquella when Miquella ascends to godhood. So I don't know. There's like a piece of me that's like maybe that could have been her at one point. But I do think that she was sealed away in Melina, or that Melina is like a remembrance or like an aspect of her. Yeah, that's a puppet. But there's also the royal revenants who do have 4 arms, and Miquella also has 4 arms. Miquella, okay, so Miquella has 3, but he has 4 arms and a stub, or like he has a stub. But like he initially had 4 arms. Time to find the Miquella missing arm pendant. Enjoyer, moon believer, in denial. Ymir, Star Truther, knows their folly. I mean, I'm an Ymir Star Truther, but also Ymir cannot be mother. Ymir doesn't get the divine cell phone right. The divine cell phone doesn't get a signal. Which is so sad. Ymir, we're mother. Is a 4th arm in Moog Serpina? I don't know. Maybe. Ymir is mother, how dare you. Ymir is mother, but Ymir doesn't know how to use a cell phone. I'm built different. I'm built different. I know how to make a divine cell phone, and I can mother. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, one of the crosses, so he divests both of his arms. He divests dextral and sinstral. So he divests 2 arms. But I don't know why his spirit only has 3 arms. So, it's a little weird. Wait, is it his left arm? I thought his spirit had 4. So he has 4 arms, but his top left hand is missing. Yeah, he's missing his left. There was an asset rip that was taken of Miquella where there's, we got the A pose Miquella, boss fight, and definitely missing one of the arm. Doesn't say Trina only have one arm. Oh my god, does she? Wait, what? Wait, wasn't there a Saint Trina video that came out from Bonfire recently? Did Bonfire do a Saint Trina video? Yes. Okay, wait, let me look. Let me look. No, she has 2 arms. She's got 2 arms. She's got no leggies though. Like, she's got a little tiny baby booty and then she turns into a flower. This is actually like horrific imagery going on here. Because for those of you that don't know, in a lot of Japanese mythology, there is a trend and a common motif of women being thrown into like tunnels or wells, and their bodies get all like fucked up from like breaking on the fall. And then also she like there's the one girl who's thrown into a well and her body like the lower half of her body becomes a bug. But I don't get why she looks so inhuman. I think it's because she was fucking pushed. I think it was because she was pushed. Have you seen Bonfire's Messmer videos? I don't fancy him anymore, but yeah, he's got that bad scoliosis, but same here, girl. But yeah, there's a lot of similarities between with Saint Trina's like situation and betrayal. So like my favorite one is the Izanagi story, where I forget which is which. Who's the brother and who's the sister? They're demigod children babies, and one of them dies and is in the underworld, and the other one chases after her, realizes she's dead and gross, and abandons her and like leaves her. Izanagi is the brother. Okay. Yeah. And then Izanami is like abandoned in the underworld. And I think it's like, it echoes that a little bit. Izanagi is the dead one. Okay, okay, okay. I thought they were wife and husband. I thought that they were, wait, you're thinking of the Orpheus myth. Orpheus goes and saves his wife. But then the deal that he has when he goes down into like the deep dark cave is that he can't turn around and look at her, and he does, and then he loses her. But in Japanese, I guess in Japanese mythology, they're wife, brother, sister? Or is it just siblings? I thought they were a couple too. Could be that they're a couple. Yeah, they're siblings and wife and husband. Okay, cool, yeah. They're both. Okay. It's the brother, sister, husband, wife deal. Okay. We got it. Yeah, we talked about the Putrescent Night and the Gloam-eyed Night before. It's because I think all of the dead matter was originally supposed to be processed. So when the lands were won and death was a thing, death was typically processed with the deathrite birds, where they would take organic matter and burn it into ash. Emily, I do love a good cousin husband. Not again. You can't trap me in this again. What was I saying? So there's groups that are in charge with processing dead matter, but in Marika's age, it gets fucked up. And so all of the dead matter is just kind of rounded up and like thrown into a pit. So the lands between are in Alabama. Rolana really liked her nephew, yeah. Yeah, St. Trina's blood is all over the fissure. You can see the variant of the Imperian flower is all over the pit. Yep. But either way, what I'm trying to say is that there's definitely like a little bit of Japanese mythology popping up in that zone because we see the red spider lilies. And here's something really fucked up that I found out, because I always knew that spider lilies, like the red ones, had to do with like when you're reincarnated into the next life, they guide your spirit into the next life. And they're planted oftentimes around like shrines and stuff. But I also found out too that like in some stories, the red spider lily means like they typically grow symbolically when two people part and they never get to see each other again. And that got me a little bit about the design of that area too. Like obviously I think that like the purpose of the Shadowlands is that it's trying to evoke as many death mythologies as it possibly can. Like it's definitely referencing Jigoku, it's definitely referencing Valhalla, it's definitely referencing Folkvang, it's definitely referencing a lot of different things, but I think in particular regarding that zone, like the bottom half zone, it definitely is the like Japanese underworld mythology, which is cool. Especially since we find them on a coast. Yeah. Wait, Zuli and Alva never reunited. They're spider lily. There the spider lilies grow. Ugh. I think Marika's seduction and betrayal was actually her seducing the Gloam-eyed queen as Radahn and then essentially killing her at the gate, causing her to reincarnate as Melina and giving birth to Messmer. I can see it. I can see it. I do think that I am kind of curious as to like the kindling aspect of everything, but yeah. I'm not convinced that our player character is doing anything to improve the cycle that the horn sent and then Marika perpetuate. Oh yeah, for sure. We're just amending the ring. So like the thing about the ring is that it's quite literally a circle. It's quite literally a spiral. We're just amending the spiral. There are some things that don't get fixed. I would say the Dung Eater's ending fixes like the omen. Fia's ending fixes those who live in death. Goldmask's ending tries to eliminate the idea of order as it opposed to like as it applies to physical concepts. It's supposed to be like a transcendental ideology of order. So I think in that sense, maybe you could like logic that maybe his order would be willing to represent or understand or witness those characters. Ronnie says no more gods. Yeah, Ronnie says get this shit out of my face. And then the Frenzied Phlegm ending is like, let's hit that hard ass reset button, but like who knows? I don't think that it's like when you hit the hard reset button, I don't think it's as cyclical as say like the Dark Souls Abyss ending, if that makes sense. Because like the Lord of Darkness ending usually always like cycles back around into like the next age or era. But I think that like the Frenzied Flame fully just like destroys the lands between. But at the same time, yeah, just shut down. Heat death of the universe. Yeah, I would say shut down more so. Yeah, but I would say the point of the shutdown is that it eliminates disparity and opposing concepts, so therefore there can be no more suffering. But then that also means there could be no more anything. So you eliminate all that divides and distinguishes. You eliminate opposing concepts. The SMT chaos ending. But yeah, anyway, that being said, let me check out Twitter like super fast. Actually, I don't know. I think I might call it here today, y'all. I think I might. Oops. I'm sorry, Cooper. I didn't mean to bonk you. I just bonked my boy. I think I need to call it here today. I feel like this was like a good welcome back stream. I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. But I do want to stream 9 Souls soon. I feel like that would be awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, no problem, Jean. Thank you all for coming and hanging out. I love Elden Ring School. Yeah, thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for coming and chilling and being present for today. We have like 1,000 people in here. That's amazing. Thank you all for supporting me. You're the best. No, you're the best. You're the best. You went off. Good job, girl. Thanks. Just one question. It seems like there was a break in the VODs. One seems to be missing on YouTube. I can check. There shouldn't be. But I'll double check. Oh. Because all of the VODs go live like immediately after. I don't unlist any of them. Everyone enjoy not celebrating America today. Yeah. I'm gonna be playing with my... I can hear them. I'm gonna be playing with my rats. They're playing with their little like toy ball. I need to work out really bad though. I might go on a run today. Like a really long run. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. It's rat day, yeah. Fuck 4th of July, yeah. That video is forever gonna... I'm gonna celebrate hot dogs. Oh, that's a good idea. Grilling meats should be something. Or tofurkey dogs or whatever your weapon of choice is. Hey. Can we see Cooper before the stream ends, please, if he feels like it? Yeah, he's right here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Oh, I don't know if he feels like it. Hold on. Come on. 3, 2, 1. He's like dead weight right now. He's like going limp intentionally. Oh. What's up, baby? I love you, Cooper. You're a good boy. Did you know you're so good? Did you know that you're the best boy in the world? What do you see? What do you see? Do you want a greenie? Or a treat? You don't want a treat? Okay. Alright. Baby, love your big snores. Yeah, he's got the biggest snores. He honks shoes real loud. He's a good boy. He has death in his eyes, the destined death. Yeah, he has the Gloam-eyed queen in him for sure. Is that your version of Blythe and Balaketh? Yeah, that's my this is my baleful shadow. For sure. He's definitely like the worst boy. He discovered the truth to Elden Ring. Yeah. Alright, y'all. Thank you for the short stream today. Thank you for giving me some time to rest and recover. I've been like filming lots of lore videos and writing lots of scripts, so part of my absence is like me creating content, so please like look forward to that. There'll be new... This next video that's coming out is actually being edited by Waves. This time it's a little bit shorter. It's a 15-minute video that just kind of gets into the Helfen Steeple lore and like the death mythology of the Shadowlands. So, yeah, it's really short and sweet. It's really tiny, but it's kind of like a really important piece of information because it allows us to like understand why Miquella had to kill Radahn, for Radahn's soul to be... Like, it seems like in order for people to go into the realm of shadow that they either have to die or pass on or something else has to happen. So it is interesting. Yes, thank you so much, y'all. Thanks, Indigo. Bye, y'all. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see if anybody's live. Before you guys go, hold on. Who's live right now? Is anybody live? Larksa live. Larksa does Elden Ring and Soulsborne challenge runs. So occasionally they'll do like no hit runs, or they'll do any percent runs, or they'll do like controllers based off of their voice, or they'll do like a lot of really crazy challenge runs. So we'll go invade her right now. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good one.